Our topic today is the supreme secret of success. And before coming on the spiritual path, it was this success that eluded me. In university, I just couldn't concentrate enough to study. And I had some talents, but somehow I was never able to put them together in a way that brought success. And it's like one of those string puppets, that if you pick up the puppet from any random string, you'll just get a bundle of sticks and strings, unless you pick it up from that master string above the puppet's head. And then the whole body sort of fits into place, and everything is in order. Jesus said, "Here, seek ye first the kingdom of God." He also said that the kingdom of God is within. Don't look outside yourself for happiness. And what is this kingdom of God? It is, we might say, the highest potential you can imagine for yourself. It's superconsciousness. It's the higher self. And peace of mind, contentment, love, joy are all qualities of this one reality. And these are universal qualities, of course, that we all want to have more of. And Krishna here says, those who worship lesser gods go to their gods, but those who worship me come to me. And the gods that we put on our altar are those things that we desire the most, and where we put our attention and our energy. For some people, this is an image of God. For others, it's their family or their work or money or fame, or even the desire to escape. And we choose what we want to put on our altar. We have that power of choice. And we can also change our desires. Swami Kriyananda said, we all have the potential to be the worst criminal or the greatest saint. Whatever we put our mind toward, that power comes to us. And we want to put on our altar the greatest power, that which has the greatest power to give back to us and to transform us. For example, Swamiji also said, don't let any decision or action take away your own peace of mind. Make that your bottom line. That peace of mind can be the string that you pull the puppet of your life up from. And we know many stories of those who tithe, who donate a percentage of their income regularly to the source of their inspiration. And they say how they're blessed themselves with greater sense of abundance and security. And when we serve a spiritual work, we receive in return divine blessings. And this is the rule of God. A direct disciple of Ananda Ma once visited us, and he told us a story that took place. He said that there was this one devotee, a lady who was very tall and strong, and she challenged all the other lady devotees to wrestle. And she beat them all until Ananda Ma offered to wrestle with her. And Ananda Ma, as you may know, was very short and tiny, And yet, without much effort, she made this much bigger woman fall to the ground. And then she held just 3 fingers on the woman's chest, and the woman couldn't get up. Because Ma had this connection with God, the infinite source of all power. And if we make that connection, then we achieve that success that we're seeking. And in the story that we read, Jitendra was the name of the boy who accompanied Yogananda Ji to Vrindavan. And Jitendra in the story was a perfect foil because he doubted, he questioned, he worried, and he was very much perhaps also like us. He was sincere, he was a seeker, but he would forget. Just like it's not that we don't know what to do, but so often we forget. And sometimes we just don't want to do what we know is right. And once Swami Kriyananda wrote a letter to somebody like this. And he said, God doesn't mind your faults. Don't put yourself down for not yet being perfect. Just love God and Guru and try to serve them to the best of your ability. Don't beat yourself up for having darkness in you. He doesn't care how many faults we have. What touches him is our love. Trying simply to do our best in this spirit, and things have a way of working themselves out. Young people often have many dreams, but how few dreams are actually realized in life. Most people, by the time they're about 40, may feel overburdened with obstacles and with disappointments that have come to them in life. But not if we dedicate ourselves to the spiritual paths. It somehow is a dramatically different story. I mention my own youthful lack of success. And then for the last 50 years, I've been on the spiritual path, and I think an ordinary, a mediocre devotee, but with the desire to serve my gurus full time. And really nothing has tempted me to stray from that dharma, but I remember from time to time I might get curious about, now, I wonder what it would be like to do that kind of work or this, or visit that place or this. And it's like each of those idle fantasies, each of them would come to pass, even without putting energy or asking for them. And I've been amazed at how time and again all of these unexpected blessings would come. And this is the story of all of Ananda. And it's the story of every person who lives to serve the light. Seek ye first the kingdom of God, and all these things shall be added unto you. Thank you.
These are two beautiful, beautiful quotes, ones that we can guide our lives by. And the seek ye first the kingdom of God, and everything will be taken care of for your life, is a hard one to necessarily have deep faith in if we don't have a history of having faith or don't have a history of putting our lives in the hands of God. So sometimes you need to take one step after another and test that faith. I think that Yogananda and Swamiji told us, don't jump off the cliff in your faith because, I'm sure God will catch me if I jump off this cliff. He just may not. If you haven't tested your faith already and you haven't gone through the experience of, probably if Christ jumped off the cliff or Arjuna jumped off the cliff, we know that God would catch them, but they had a certain elevated consciousness and awareness of what Maya is and what Maya isn't, that God would have caught them. I think God would have taught us a lesson like, don't presume. But really, we have to, this quote helps us introspect, and we should introspect. How much of the responsibility of our lives are we willing to put in God's hands? And that's a journal entry. How much? This much, but not all of this. My daily life, maybe to a certain extent, my household turning over to the help, but my children, no. And, so just see where does that little line fall, and then maybe try to test those edges and try to push it off. No, I have a little bit more faith, and let me try through this experience to have that faith. And, the second quote by Krishna, those who worship the lesser gods go to their gods, those who worship me come to me. Just like Keshava was saying, in fact, we have very similar talks, so I'm thinking, really, what we think about, what is going on in our consciousness is what we are worshiping. We may say, oh, I love God. I love my gurus. I love Divine Mother. It's Diwali, and I'm just praying to her and praying to Ganesh, and this is where I have my faith. And yet, what is it that's going around in our mind all the time? I hope I get that job, or hope my child gets into that college, or I hope that, and so all of these other things, I really wish that this would happen. Those things that are going around constantly in our mind, that's really like worship for us. And these are the things that we're giving attention to. And once in a while we go, oh yeah, that's right, I'm thinking about God, I am worshiping God. So really, and when we say we go to those gods, when we leave this planet, when we leave our bodies, it's wherever our consciousness is that we will go. So if we've been focusing on our bank accounts, on our jobs, on our cars, on our certain aspects of our families, those kind of realms we will go to with all souls that have that same similar consciousness. And maybe it's partial faith, and it's also wanting to do my duty in this way and this way, but this is where my consciousness is. So I will be in a world, an astral world of people with this consciousness. And yet, if I'm just thinking, as much as I can, as Keshava said, try to remember again and again, no, God, I put my faith in you. No, I want you to be with me as I walk this path, as I take this journey, as I go on this trip, as I make this important step in my faith. Please be with me. And if we feel that we can remember that He's in the people we're speaking to, that He's flowing through us when we're doing our work, when He can be with us throughout the day. As much as we can remember Him, we can almost judge our spiritual progress. It's one of the ways of judging our spiritual progress. In the Mahabharata, when it was very clear that the Kauravas and the Pandavas were going to go to war, suddenly both sides realized they wanted Krishna on their side. So Arjuna and Duryodhana ended up at Krishna's place at the same time. So they both wanted his help. And when they got there, they saw Krishna was asleep. And so Arjuna immediately went to his feet and waited. Duryodhana was up at his head and waited. Then when Krishna woke up, just from the way he was laying, first person he saw was Arjuna at his feet. And he said, well, you're both here at the same time, but I saw Arjuna first, so Arjuna, you get first choice. Either you get all of my armies, all of those weapons, and they will fight for your side. Or you can choose me, and I will just drive your chariot, but I won't fight. So you have your choice, Arjuna. Arjuna, God, I choose you. With you, victory is assured. Duryodhana thought, oh my God, he's insane. He didn't choose his army. And so then we all know what happened in the battle, of course. Arjuna chooses God, and God brings victory. And when Yogananda was first starting out in Los Angeles, when you think of, look at the faith that Yogananda had, going over to America at 25 years old. 25. I mean, we don't trust our kids to do anything, right? Yogananda was 25. He went by himself to America because Babaji said he should go. So talk about faith in Babaji, in Sri Yukteswar and his gurus, and barely speaking English. And it goes to America, and then 5 years later, he's in California at Mount Washington, and somebody walked in and said, what are the assets of this organization? And he said, none. Only God. And then later on, some years later, he was having troubles with money. I mean, as one would, it was a big property in California and a lot of expenses, and the property was ready to go into foreclosure. Swami writes this story in the New Path. And so Mount Washington was threatened with foreclosure. Master talking. I went out into the desert and meditated all night. Divine Mother, I prayed, why did you give me this responsibility? I came to the West to speak of you, not to worry about organizational problems. If you took everything away, it would mean nothing to me but my freedom. Say the word, Mother, and I will walk out into the desert and never once look back. At 3 o'clock in the morning came her answer. I am your stocks and bonds. What more do you need if you have me? Dance of death and dance of life. Know that these come from me. My child, rejoice. The next day, a check came in the mail for the exact amount of money that we needed. Swami Kriyananda wrote a ceremony. He created a ceremony called the Purification Ceremony, where we try to cast from our hearts anything that makes it impure. So maybe there's a big obstacle or desires or aversions or attachments that we think are holding us back spiritually. And the disciple goes to a channel of the master, basically going to the guru saying, I seek purification by God's grace. And the master says, open your heart to me, and I will enter and take charge of your life. That's what we need to do. Open our heart to God, and He will take charge of our life. Because He is the creator of the universe. And if He's going to hold the universe together, do you think He'll hold our lives together? And Jesus Christ said to His followers, look at the lilies in the field, those flowers in the field over there. Look how beautiful they are. Even King Solomon could not have dressed as beautiful as this lily, and the lily will be gone tomorrow. But we are His children. Don't you think He will take care of what we wear? And look at the sparrows, look at the birds. They find food every day. Nobody's feeding them. And not a sparrow falls without God knowing about it. And you are worried about what you're going to eat? Don't you think God is going to make sure you have clothes and have enough food? This is really what is important for you to live on this planet. So there's a great heroine of World War II, Corrie ten Boom. And she lived in Holland, and she helped many Jews escape the Third Reich, and escape into England or to other places from Europe. And she was in fact caught, and she and her sisters were thrown into the concentration camp. She survived, her sisters did not. But her quote was, "See the invisible, believe the unbelievable, and receive the impossible." So when we think of Krishna's words, those who worship me, come to me, that is spiritual magnetism. We learn about this in our classes. What is spiritual magnetism? What we think about, where we put our energy, is what comes to us. And so when we think of God, He will come to us. And as Keshava said, maybe not all of our thoughts, all of the time, are focused on God. We have these past tendencies. We have seeds of karma. We have these characteristics inside that are going to be worried, that are going to be fearful of the future, that are going to regret the past, and these things are going to spin around. But Krishna's driving that chariot, and he's telling Arjuna, you have to fight. It's not like you can just sit down and I'll do everything for you. You have to fight this battle. So that's what we're doing on the spiritual path. We're actually fighting that battle. And so the tools of this path, sadhana, satsang, being around other truth seekers, this reminds us of what we're doing with our lives. Because if we just go to the office or with members of our family who aren't seeking God, how are we supposed to remember? We need reminders, and we need to be around fellow devotees. Otherwise, it's easy to stray off the path. Seva, God flowing through me as I serve. Or I'm serving God, and I don't care what comes back to me. I'm giving, I don't care what comes back. I'm just giving to God. And I'm seeing Him everywhere that I am giving. And self-study. Let's look. How much of our lives are we putting in God's hands, and where do we hold back? Because right where we hold back is what's going to... Those are the lesser gods we're going to go to. And so no matter really all the wonderful gifts that God gives us in this life, nothing compares to a simple act of faith that will bring us closer to Him. So let's try every day. Where can I increase my faith? What next step can I do? So that, like the great saints, I could jump off a cliff and I know God would catch me. What's my next step in faith? And as Keshava said, when we put God first, everything else will work out. And we can become more and more like the saints. God bless you.